This video starts off with a massive thank you to the people who have my back, supporting me and enabling me to continue making content and doing what I love. I would be nothing without you guys, so thank you very much. In today's video, we'll be going over the Slavers of House Dres. In Dragonstar Arena, this will be Stage 4 for Threats of Tamriel. Greetings, Gilliam the Rogue here once again with another Threats of Tamriel segment. In today's episode, we will be talking about the 4th stage in Veteran Dragonstar Arena. This time we'll be going over the Slavers of House Dres round. This is going to have a lot of Quama, some Netch, and then Dunmeri, of course. Now, there's not going to be too much going on environmental-wise outside of combat. However, in combat, there is one enemy type called Enslavers, and we'll talk a little bit more about them when I get to the creature segment, but what they're going to do is they're going to link something to you, and after that link ends, it's going to summon a shade of the slaver at your position. Now, you can move out of it, but all they're going to do is they're going to sit there for a minute doing whoop-de-whoop, hula-hoop, spin to win with their swords, and it'll become a permanent area of damage until they dissipate or they can be killed. However, there's no incentive to killing them. They don't drop loot, there's no experience, they're not required to be killed to progress to the next round, and they have a very high health pool. So again, you can use them to build ultimate and stuff, but don't worry about killing them. Still, usually slavers will drop in batches of 2, sometimes even 4, meaning there's going to be a lot of shades around the map. The best way to go about this is to hug the walls when you're linked. So if you get one of these beams that are linked to you, go to a wall, have the shadow drop, and then move out. And now you have a ton of area to move from, and the only place that's devastating to you are the sides. Again, it's not the end of the world if a shade drops in the center of the map. Their AoE isn't too large. However, once you get to the boss round, there's going to be a lot of them, and we'll talk about that as well too. But not too much going on here. The biggest thing is to just watch out for those enslavers, focus them down if you can, and then if you get a shade or you get a beam, go to the sides of the wall so that shade drops there, and then you have a lot of freedom of movement. But now let's talk about the creatures, and then after that, the gameplay. Starting off the creature segment, we have the nasty Quama Warrior. He's going to have a few mechanics. Most of them can be dodgeable or blocked. He's going to have this AoE cleave where he smashes in front of him, and then he's going to have a flurry attack similar to a troll. So just move out of those. Not a big deal. Not a terribly threatening enemy. Next, we have the Nightblade. He's going to have Agony, which can be bashed. If you don't bash it, it'll stun you. Put a bleed on you as well. You can block it. If you block, you'll still get the bleed. And then he'll also go into Cloak or turn invisible and then try and heavy attack you. If he gets the heavy attack off, you'll be stunned for a very long time and take hella damage, so dodge or block. Next, we have the Quama Worker. These little guys are very, very weak. All they have is this little charge attack, and that's it. You can block it, you can move out of it. If you stand in it and not block, you're going to get knocked over, but it's not going to terrify you or do much damage. Next, we have a Battle Mage or a Sorcerer. These guys are really simple, similar to the beginning rounds. All they have is like a lightning. They'll like streak in and then do a lightning AoE. Just move out of it. You cannot bash it. You cannot dodge it because it's a magical AoE. So just move out or kill it before he does it. Next, we have the Illusionists. These guys will often come in pairs, as we see here. No, it is not a copy of the original, but what they're going to do is they're going to use a lot of fearing. So they're going to go in stealth and back up. Once they activate stealth, you'll be feared. They'll also cast fear from a range. This can be bashed, the stealth cannot. Just stay away from them. Next, we have the Templar. The Templar is going to have a lot of mechanics. He's going to do jabs. He has jabs from the start of the game. That means you'll be stunned if you don't block it. He also has this bubble which puts a shield on him. He'll take less damage and he'll heal. And then he also has a bashable heal where he'll target himself or an ally, so bash that. Priority target. Next is a Bull Netch. Not too big of a threat. They're very slow moving. They don't hit too hard. We see he's hitting me and my health doesn't even really move here. He just has this big AoE thing that can be bashed. If you sit in it, you'll take some continuous poison damage and you're not going to die insanely quickly, but try and focus him down. Next, we have the Enslaver. These guys are the main threat of this stage because they're going to have this little beam thing. We see him channeling it here. He's going to tether to a player. It's going to be this blue line that follows you wherever you go. And after about 10 seconds of taking continuous damage, the beam will end and then drop a little shadow on the ground, and then the shadow will spin. He'll also have a spin to win move where he's stationary and does AoE damage. Move out of it. Next is a Nyx Hound. These guys are really more obnoxious than anything. They have this bashable attack where they'll try and drain some life and heal themselves, so don't let them do that. Just bash it. They're very weak. Just nuke them. They have like no health. Next is a Battle Mage. These guys are like the Bannermen. They have a negate, which will suppress all Magicka-based abilities and will remove all ground AoEs from the ground, as well as an Ice Rink, which puts a big circle or a donut of ice around his position that does extremely high damage and snares, so don't stand in that. Next is a Cryomancer. He's got 2 attacks. One is a bashable attack called Winter's Embrace. It's just going to be this slow-moving line of frost damage. It is extremely painful. Move out of it or bash it. And then he also has an Unstable Wall of Frost, which will snare you, deal high damage, and then explode for massive damage, probably one-shotting you, so move out of that. Next is the Kagudi. These guys have a charge attack that'll fuck you up, and they also have a headbutt which will cleave anyone in front of them for massive damage. Both can be blocked or dodge rolled. You can kill these guys from a range. They're going to do a lot of damage to non-tanks, so keep that in mind. If you're not a tank, don't try and run in face first. And then we have the boss, the Earthenheart Warrior or Knight. She's going to use a lot of, you guessed it, Earthenheart abilities from the Dragonite skill line. She's going to cast Petrify on a player. This can be bashed, otherwise you'll be stunned for 30 seconds. You'll have to CC break it if you do not. She's also going to have Ash Cloud. It has Mischance. Don't stand in it, because if you're using attacks, you'll have a 40% chance to miss. She'll also have Corrosive Armor, where she gains a massive shield and does high AoE flame damage. Don't stay close to her. So she's going to be really tanky, but we'll see in the video. So now let's start the gameplay. So here we are again with the original crew in Stage 4 of Dragonstar Arena. At the start of this round, we're going to go to the northern part because that's where the ads spawn that are priority targets that will force spawn the rest. And then we're going to start focusing on the west because the western part of the map is where most of the scary guys spawn later on in the second round and stuff. So I usually suggest starting north first, and then you can do a split, one person east, one person west, and then start focusing west. But like usual, we're going to place down our wall of elements and ground AoEs and then just go into spamming AoE. Here we have a Templar. We're going to focus him because he has a lot of healing, and he can also do some pretty high damage with his jabs attack and stun players, so they're a pretty big priority target. Just AoEing most of this stuff down. There we saw the Illusionist try and fear someone. I bashed that. And another one spawned behind me. Remember that I said they usually spawn in pairs? See, now he's going to get the fear off. It's going to fear our tank, but he CC breaks right away. Delta did a fantastic job. He saw it coming. I should have had that bash, though. So fear ignores block, so keep that in mind. You can't block it. You have to either dodge or bash the attack. All right, now we've moved to the western part, and we're going to focus these ads. Here's an Enslaver. He's going to do his spin to win attack first. That gives us ample time to kill him before he drops a shadow on one of us with his lingering effect. Here the Battle Mage drops a negate, and everyone gets out of it, and then he drops the Ice Rink. So I stand in the center because I don't want to take that frost damage. Delta dodge rolls through to take as least damage as possible so he could get in range and taunt this Kagudi, because that Kagudi would have fucked one of us up if the tank didn't grab aggro, because he does a lot of damage. Here we see the Kwama doing that smash attack I mentioned. If you're in it, it'll stun you. It doesn't do terribly high damage. Just move out of it. And then focusing a lot of the casters. So this round is actually really easy. The only time it's going to be an issue is on the final boss of this stage. She does very high damage. There's a lot of movement. She's extremely tanky. Here we see another Enslaver and a Netch. I dropped my Destro ulti so we can cleave both of them down. Make sure that Enslaver doesn't get his lingering death mechanic off, which is the little shade beam. Deltia goes to move in to taunt the Kagudi immediately so he doesn't mess anyone up. Gonna kill him before he can finish his charge. Now we have more enslavers spawning soon, so we're going to get ready. See, here's that lingering death mechanic. After this little blue beam ends, there'll be a shadow that drops on the ground. There, we see it right there. You don't have to kill those guys, like I said. They're just there to be a nuisance, to kind of make you have to keep moving around, and to realize that the enslavers are a priority target outside of the boss round. So they're not going to go away until about a minute. You can kill them, but there's no incentive. You can just build ulti. So here are 2 more enslavers. We pull them in so we can AoE, and we force them to do their AoE spin to win attack by being in melee range. Because if no one's in melee range, then they're going to do their lingering death mechanic first, because there's no one to spin on. So they're going to do their little beam. So try and move in close to there. This part has a lot of damage spikes, so focus those casters, a Cryomancer and Illusionist right away, because they can pair up a lot of damage on a player if things line up improperly. And then focus the slavers last, because they're the least threat. They're just more annoying than they are really dangerous per se, but they can clutter the map with those little shades if you don't kill them quick enough. So don't stress about it, but don't leave them alone. I'm just building ultimate here. Here's the boss round. We're going to focus her because in this round, enslavers that die will respawn immediately. There is 0 incentive to kill the enslavers. So we see Deltia gets double beamed here. This means that 2 shades are going to spawn, boom, and I have them move to the gate so that we can have all of this movement in the back. At about 70%, we see some ads come in. I drop a Destro ulti. There we see an unstable wall. I tell Deltia to move out of it immediately because it does extremely high damage. Here our healer drops Nova early, and this was a big mistake. This is actually going to lead to some deaths later because you want to save 1 ultimate from the tank for the first set of ads and then 1 ultimate for the second set because there's extremely high damage. Notice how all of this AoE is going on. Because these enslavers are immortal practically, they keep spawning, they keep plating shades. The Earthen Heart Knight, she places Ash Cloud, she has Corrosive, there's just tons of AoE, so you have to be very disciplined at reacting. And see, here we have the 2 ads spawning, and they immediately pulverize me because we didn't have that 30% major maim, so I die because the Nova was dropped too early. Not a big deal though, luckily the healer reses me immediately, I get back in, and then we go back to focusing the boss because the ads are now dead. So, this is actually the longest part of the fight, is about sub 40% because she starts doing way more corrosives and igneuses, so she has shield, she takes less damage, she's tanky. We see the following red circle, that's her corrosive. If you stand in it, you'll take extremely high flame damage, so keep at a range. There we saw the petrify she tried to do, someone bashed it so no one got stunned. And then she's got a simple heavy attack like any old boss would do. But pretty simple stuff. Outside of that little hiccup we had with not saving Nova, relatively easy round. Just be careful for those extreme high burst situations. Now we're going to go get our chest, repair at the imp, and then move on to the next round. I hope this has helped, and I'll see you in Stage 5. If you've liked the content in this video, consider pledging at my Patreon. The community's interest and support keep me inspired and drive me to continue improving and giving back. Thanks to all my patrons who've already shown their dedication. I truly appreciate it. If you have feedback, drop a comment, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I will see you guys next time.